moderator.
I hope I am audible. So can we start, sir?
Yes,
Sparing
please.
time. Yeah, good morning to all. Welcome to this R10 talk, which was hosted by the IEEE Region 10 in collaboration with IEEE Region 10 Professional Activities Committee, IEEE Region 10 Industry Relations Committee, IEEE Region 10 Women and Engineering Committee, and IEEE Region 10 Young Professionals Committee, and IEEE Region 10 Students Activities Committee. Welcome you all, and today we are having the speaker navigating corporate career as an entrepreneur is our today's talk. First of all, I will welcome Dr. Agnes, the chair for IEEE Region 10 Women in Engineering, to welcome the gathering. Over to you, madam.
Thank you for the time. Good afternoon from Jakarta, everyone. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all to this special online sessions of the R10 Talk. Today we have the privilege of exploring the intricate and dynamic world of entrepreneurship, guided by the insightful experiences of our distinguished speakers, Huzaib Shafi. The topic of the presentation is navigating corporate careers as an entrepreneur, his story as an entrepreneur, and what is taught him for the corporate. I think this topic promises to offer us valuable lessons and practical wisdom. As we know that entrepreneurship is often described as a challenging roller coaster ride. No matter the domain's business model, team, skill, and financial backing, embarking on the entrepreneurial journey inevitably leads to encountering unforeseen and unexpected problems. Having been there myself, I can attest to this reality. This journey is a testament to the principles of learning by doing, where the lessons learned are not only profound but also life-changing. Xavier's entrepreneurial journey is a compelling story of resilience, innovations, and adaptations. He has faced the myriad challenges that come with starting and sustaining startups, only to see them crumble on one fateful day. These pivotal moments, however, did not mark the end of his professional journey. Instead, it led him to transitions into the corporate careers armed with the wealth and knowledge and experiences that only the entrepreneur path could provide. In today's talk, Safi will share his personal journey as a founder, the obstacles he overcome, and the invaluable lessons he learns along the way. His story is not just about the trials and tribulations of the entrepreneurship, but also about the transferable skills and tips that can be carried over to the corporate careers. He will provide key takeaway on how to navigate the corporate landscape using the skill earned during his times as entrepreneurs. My IEEE colleagues, I hope these sessions will provide us with insight into the practical aspect of entrepreneurship and its borders implications for the corporate careers. We will learn how entrepreneurial skills such as problem solving, adaptability, resiliency, and innovations can significantly enhance our performance and growth within both the research and corporate environments. This session is an opportunity to reflect on the interconnectedness of entrepreneurship, research, and corporate careers, and how one can inform and enrich the others. It is a reminder that the lessons learned in one domain are often applicable in another's, and that our experiences, no matter how challenges, can shape us into more versatile and capable professional. Before we proceed, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to the IEEE R10 Talk committee and all the organizers who have worked tirelessly to make this session possible. Your dedications and effort in coordinating and setting up this virtual platform have ensured that we can all come together and share in the valuable learning experiences, regardless of our physical locations. Please join me in welcoming Huzaib Shafi. We are eager to hear your story and valuable insight you have to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Agnes.
Thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful words. So now I welcome Dilni to introduce the speaker.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I'm honored to be the moderator for the session today. So our esteemed speaker, Huzaib Shafi, is a multi-professional with a reach of experiences, who's currently serving as a delivery architect at Cisco at the same, in unrevealing complexities. He is unrevealing complexity of million-dollar business process automation projects for Fortune 500 companies. His expertise extend across the various domains, from smart cities solution to cutting-edge researchers in automation and telecommunications. But at the same time, Huzaib's journey is not confined to the corporate alone. Prior to his current role, he has ventured into the world of entrepreneurship with unwavering determination. With there, he has gone through from IT services to Internet of Things, from EdTech to AgriTech, and many more. So Huzaib's entrepreneurship endeavors span delivers diverse industries, offering invaluable lessons and insights along the way. So without further ado, now I'm handing over the panel to the Huzaib Shafi to let us explore throughout your insights and with your entrepreneurship journey, to see where we can adapt and where we can get lessons to our own journeys.
Hello. Thank you, Dr. Agnes Dilini. Thank you for having me here to start with. While I start talking, it makes sense for me to share my presentation. I have a few slides prepared to make this whole session more boring than it would have normally been. Before I start with this whole session, I would like to call out that I speak Anglophonic fusion. That is, some of my vocabulary comes from American English, some comes from British, some from, of course, Indian accent. And then, of course, when it comes to my accent, some of my words will sound American, some will sound British, some will sound Indian, and most of it will sound Kashmiri, by the way, irrespective of whether you can make a distinction across all these or not. Anyways, thank you. You already have had my introduction. Thanks to Dr. Agnes and Delini. My name is Huzaib Shafi. I am from Kashmir, and it's actually the North Indian side. So I'll go ahead and I'll be talking about this title, Navigating Corporate Career as an Entrepreneur. And this whole session will be split in two subparts. One part talks about my journey. That is, what was my entrepreneurial journey? There were certain things that I had there, and we went through that. We'll go through that. We'll establish what makes me an entrepreneur, or what my journey was. Um, just few slides, hopefully. Then we'll jump into the lessons learned. The entrepreneurial journey, actually, this entrepreneurial journey makes it kind of possible to learn lessons for the whole life. Every time I introspect, I look back, I find learnings for my life, for everything that I want to do. And from among those, I have selected those few points that I myself follow and encourage to be followed by any other corporate employee. And to get started, there is this timeline that I'll be sharing and calling out individual years. Uh, so, yeah, please do stay with me for that. Starting with the year 2008, 2009, between this until 2010, I started as a freelancer. I started as a tutor, as a hacker. I would actually help students of computer science finish their industrial projects. Finish as in I would support them. I would act as their trainer. I also was a freelancer who actually would go and start developing things for the businesses, again, as a freelancer. And that's what gave rise to my initial startup. Back then, I would call it a company because the term startup, the cool term, was uh, still kind of not as popular as it is right now. So every time I would go back, I would say, yeah, I have started my own company. It would not be I have a startup now. So in 2010, I started my first one. Its name was Corpatch, and in that same year, I kind of got an opportunity to have a merger with a society. And then in 2011, the journey goes on. Within this Corpatch, I go ahead with finding yet another. It started out as a project, but then it kind of came out as it became really huge. We landed it into yet another startup. It was a global distribution system powered by the inventory of that GDS would be powered by a property management system. So it pretty much for the hotels, the houseboats, and all these tourism related activities, including the car bookings and all those things. And before I continue, if you see for each of the years, you see these clouds. These clouds actually reflect that whenever you see a cloud, depending upon how big it is, there has at least been 2 to 3 months of disruption in our area. So the businesses are at halt. This disruption comes from a political unrest that has been going on ever since I can remember. Not just I can remember. I mean, it's been there even before I was born. So this political unrest leads to certain complications for the government, certain complications for the people, and one of the main things that is there is that across all these years, there has been at least 2 to 3 months of uh, what do you say, curfews, lockdown, strikes, and things of that sort. And the way to relate to those lockdowns is imagine the COVID lockdown that you faced, and imagine that same lockdown without the internet. You don't have access to the internet. Uh, yeah. I mean, it's that exactly. So there is no remote work. There's no working from home, and especially in those years, there was nothing of that sort. And it would be kind of regional in nature, right? It would actually be either in the whole of Kashmir or in a certain segment of Kashmir. So when it comes to these clouds, every time you see a cloud, remember that the business has been disrupted for more than 2 months, at least in a year. Usually it's 3 years, 3 months per year, but yeah, it's that's what it kind of reflects. Anyways, moving on. 2012, uh, yeah, the Corpatch that I had, it was an IT services company. We started an educational wing in 2012. And I was summoned by cybercrime, J&K cybercrime police, for a crime that I had no relation to, at least the way I see it, of course. It did not turn out to be a case. I ended up becoming a security consultant for their financial cyber crimes for some time. And it was the same year because of the corporate educational wing. I also had an opportunity to work on an operating system, HNIX OS. It was an operating system for hackers or aspiring hackers. It had vulnerabilities. It would act as a lab. It had tools from the backtrack, which they could use to actually practice. And back then, these labs, I mean, right now we have money, but back then there weren't money uh, to create these hacking environments, because you cannot just go ahead and start uh, attacking a website or a web application to practice your knowledge. So yeah, that was it. It's hosted on SourceForge, by the way. And there was this editor of Sockpedia who rated it 4 out of 5. And that was a good one. And that guy had written documentation way better than I had. So that was way more impressive. 2013, the HRES that we started in 2011, the pilot of that actually was ready. We had few customers who signed up for it, and things were really going good. And if you see on the top left, there is this graph showing the startups that started and their trajectory, financial trajectory, where they were headed. Then 2014, the major floods. We usually that is one of the referential points for us. Kashmir floods 2014. I mean, floods are normal. I mean, have been normal. I have seen floods since childhood, but nothing compares to this 2014 floods. The whole of Kashmir was flooded, and um, comparing it to the floods that I have recently heard of in other places, it's not stagnant water that is a flood. This is that same flood which takes out the houses, and actually is there is a running water on the roads, like a river. The river is flowing. So yeah, it was that. It was a major flood. The disruption was terrible. The disruption to electricity, to internet, of course, whole of the communications went down, electricity went down. Uh, there were some really bad times, and there was a complete business halt. It was not just us. The whole of Kashmir kind of shut down. Moving on, 2015 was our what do you say, the aftermath of floods. Business were still trying to recover from the damage. The hotels, the tourism sector was uh, at least 90% off, because the hotels were still cleaning their hotels, fixing their interiors in most of the places. And it was that time when we again lost whatever base we had created for HRS in 2013. In 2015, that all went away uh, because of 2014. I mean, it went away in 2014 itself, but 2015 did not really help us make that substantial growth that we needed. However, because the colleges, the universities were closed, our educational wing grew terribly high. We had lots of engineering students who visited with for both the industrial education as well as the theoretical computer science. So our educational wing kind of took off. 2016, a big cloud. Um, it is in this year, something happened locally, and there was a big, massive shutdown, a curfew for more than 3.5 months. Um, and it was in this year that I stayed on the second floor. I could not come down from my second floor of the house. I mean, we live on the second floor of a building. I could not come down from that second floor for 92 days. Uh, just on that second floor for whole 92 days, I could not come down. It was that bad. Uh, and it was in 2016 we started yet another startup, Ladisha. It was an edtech. Ladisha was not the first one of its kind at that point of time. It was itself a pivot from our previous startup, FreeMind. But yeah, we had learned things. And the reason I did not call out the FreeMind, and there are many others that I am not calling out, because they were those which kind of were not the major ones. They only paved way for the major milestones and the major startups. Ladisha was one such, and it was an edtech. It was B2B2C. SaaS, and it started off at a very good portfolio of the products as well as a good customer base. And in the same year, I also, with yet another co-founder, I started 1827 Lipota. It was a consumer products company. Then coming to 2017, we went ahead and also started, I co-founded yet another startup with yet another co-founder, Buol Agritech. It was IoT and AI for the agriculture. So we had the customers spanned between the ones having apple orchards, dense farming, and some horticulture growers. They had these greenhouses, which we would kind of both monitor as well as automate. That was BioAgritech. And by this time, in 2017, both Corpech and Extras had started to struggle. They were not in the same trajectory. Again, Corpech was the IT services, and it kind of became the base of everything. And me being at the top of it, my resources would be shared across other startups. And I majorly played the role of a CTO in every of my startup. All of these startups actually have their own respective CEO co-founders, and some of them might actually be in this call right now. So it was in this 2017 because of, I don't know, that's how I put it. Because of 2016, I started having developing some neurological problems, some medical problems by 2017. And then these minor events like I have my employees working with me and I get to know out of nowhere, hey, internet has been shut down. Oh, really? Why? We don't know. Hey, how will my employees go home? And the moment this would happen, I would actually start feeling numb and I would start feeling pain across my arms. And this continued for some time. Anyways, I was put on antidepressants and it went on. And this was that particular year when I had a meeting in Bhopal. I left from here. I went so Bhopal is yet another city in India. I left Srinagar. I am in a flight. The moment I sat in that flight, I felt that a relief. I felt that kind of a freedom. And the feeling was like, hey, I don't think I need antidepressants during this journey. And that whole trip, it was in the month of May. That whole trip was kind of an eye opener for me. I mean, it was really relaxing for me. I mean, the meeting, although had a part to play, but then that whole journey, I was really free. I mean, I had started working more. My efficiency increased and all that. And it was right then when I decided that I need to take a break. I come back, I tell my fellow co-founders that, hey, uh, I want to take a break. And they had already seen me with my medical problems. All of them encouraged, hey, to take a break. Things are anyways working here. And we'll keep those things flowing. And it was 2nd of June. I started looking for opportunities. That was the first time I started looking for a job. And on 29 June, I landed in Cisco Bangalore. So it was in that 1 month, that whole month kind of I spent in interviews with one company and other. And that's it. 29 June 2017, I landed in Cisco Bangalore. But towards 2018, the idea was to only stay there for a month, sorry, 6 months or something like that. But then, yeah, things happened. I had better opportunities in Cisco, more complex projects, better opportunities, as in I was leading smart city solutions. Yeah, I mean, something I could not have imagined and envisioned in my startup. Right, it was multi-crore INR projects. And these projects were majorly, I was working with the Indian public sector, but then I was also consulting for some cities in Europe. And by this time, the trajectory of other startups had really picked up. Corporate Educational Wing was doing really great. Letitia was kind of in a good trajectory. BioAgritech was in a good trajectory. I mean, they were kind of growing slowly, but they were doing really good. And then came 2019. 2019 saw a brilliant hit for Larisha. We signed really good deals. Biol Agritech signed really great deals as well. I mean, even though we actually released the whole platform of Biol in 2019 start, and we had some good deals kind of signed, and we were in that phase that we would sign these deals with these growers. And I had a planned resignation in September. So I would come back and join my startups in November. And the plan was by January 2020, we will go and set up another base in Delhi, India. That was the kind of the plan that we were going through, and then 5 August happened. For those who don't know, on 5 August, the government actually scrapped off Article 370 and put the whole of Kashmir into a blackout. This blackout lasted somewhere till Feb 2021. Uh, and the blackout was really disastrous. So what happened on this day was all the communication lines were cut out of nowhere. I mean, we woke up on 5th of August. I was in Bangalore. We woke up on 5th of August. By the way, on the 7th of August, I had a flight back home to celebrate Eid with my family, and also to take an account of my startup. So because I was planning a resignation in the next month, in the coming month. So it was that, and 7th August was my flight, and 5th August we wake up. We're not able to establish contact with our families. We get to hear, oh, there is something, this is happening in the parliament, and the blackout was massive. The phones were taken down. Our home had 3 fixed line connections. Those fixed lines connections were not going through. Mobile phones, postpaid, prepaid, it didn't matter. Internet, nothing. There was zero communication whatsoever, in and out. And that was kind of that day when we actually, right, lost also the communication with the businesses. And by the time we were able to establish the connection, most of my co-founders had found other opportunities. Some had left Kashmir, some had left India, uh, some had started something at home during this lockdown to keep, right, to feed the family, of course. And it had that trajectory kind of that slip down had already occurred. All the savings that we had accrued by then in any of the startups, they were actually used to settle the debts. And it was that one day. So hence that idea in the abstract, if you have gone through the abstract and what Dr. Agnes called out, right? It was that one fateful day when all of my startups crumbled. It was this one fateful day. We just could not recover from that. There was no way to come out of it, for us at least. And most of the engineers that we had lost contact with all of them, one way or the other. And all of their connections, right? You have this rule in the service provider industry that if a subscriber does not use the connection for 3 months, disconnect it and reuse that number. In our case, it was more than 6 months. So when the 2G services were kind of started, and all the phone numbers that we had, everything does not exist because they were all disconnected by the service providers. And that's it. I finally accept that I have to stay in the corporate industry because I had really interesting opportunities in Cisco, some complex projects, some big projects, some big accounts that I was working on. And that's it. I stayed on that. I took that to my track, and I also did start angel investing. I mean, there is this thing with entrepreneurship that the moment you actually see that, you feel that energy once, it's quite difficult to get rid of it. You'll try to and wish to go back to it every time. There are generally these are the main 4 categories usually considered to be the failure for startups in a general sense. The founders are the ones actually executing a certain strategy. There may be a flaw in the financial strategy, or there may be something wrong with executing these financial, business management, sales, and marketing strategies. Things can go wrong in any of these 4 sectors. I remember one of my mentors once telling me that uh, just because you can take your business to 1 million from zero does not mean you are the right uh, founder for that business to take it, or the right person to take it from 1 million to 1 billion. You may have to look for another person who is more capable of doing that. And in the meantime, that same person may not be able to bring the company from 0 to 1 million. So these are the things that you actually have to always understand when it comes to businesses. And these decisions need to be reevaluated every time. Keeping it all there, what was the failure for us? For us, the way I usually see it is we fail to strategize with all the environment variables and their weights under consideration. So maybe we could have planned a bit ahead, maybe 3 months before, if we would have moved our base. As we planned to do it in January of 2020, we could have done it in April 2019. In all cases, because we failed to strategize, we were not able to come out of that failure. And that's been there. That's been one of the things that did even further inspire me in the corporate sector. When COVID hit, many of the businesses got impacted the same way, the way we did every year. Uh, some companies actually still continue to make profit, and it was a big blow. And it isn't just that. I mean, for us, it was these environment variables. For another startup, it is something else. As I mentioned, right? So for some startup, it may be the financial strategy. Something went wrong with the financial strategy, as in they were not able to plan their funds. They were not able to execute a plan of planning the funds in a manner that you have to spend this much and this one, and you need this much of income by this date. So all these things are kind of supposed to be there. You fail to strategize in any one of these, you have very high chances of failure. And the failures come from all sides in the startup industry. And now that I have moved, this whole journey taught me lessons. I have learned lessons from my startups that had nothing to do with this date, and we closed because we moved on to its pivot. Uh, it's been that those learnings that I have always taken ahead with me, not just for a career, also for my personal life. Things that I have learned in those startups, I have taken that into every phase of my life. I have always tried to kind of implement them wherever possible, including when I mentor other founders now. I usually call out an experience. Hey, this is what we did in that startup, and this is the problem that we found. Maybe you should try to fix it. And I use all of that. I at least tend to use, I try to use all of that. Now, out of those learnings, I have taken for this session those top 10 suggestions that are those top 10 tips that I tend to implement on myself, and also encourage other employees of corporates to implement on themselves. And going on, the first one, and I believe the most important one, start seeing yourself as the product. When it comes to a startup, when it comes to a company, you go and you visit your customer and start projecting the product or the company itself, right? You go on saying, hey, this product of mine can solve these problems, or we as a company can solve and save this much money in your company, or we can automate these things, or we can do this and that. Every time you sell a product or a name or a brand, that's what you do. So my perspective, with the moment you go with the transition, is start seeing yourself as the product, your skills as a service, or your skills as the product. The point is, you start seeing yourself as a product. You keep on pitching how you can solve the problem of your customer. The idea is, so translating it to that business versus this perspective, that this product of mine can solve your problems. And now I would rather say my skills are really the ones that can solve your problems. Think of your resume as the documentation or that pitch deck that you make in a startup, right? You focus on, whenever you go for a pitch deck, you go for that document talking about your startup. You go there and you talk about the features that your product brings in. You kind of try to align it with the customer's needs. You don't just keep on calling, I have this feature, this feature, this feature. You rather actually go and focus on the problems that the customer has and how this product can help. Think of resume as that same pitch deck for the customer. And your skills in that case become those services or the things that would solve those problems. Uh, Keep on treating yourself this way. In the subsequent points, you will see how these things are related and kind of add up with an interesting different perspective. Point number two, talk numbers, quantify accomplishments. uh, Whenever it comes to the business lingo, you end up, whenever you go to the customer, you end up talking about giving them a real sense of how things are. Whenever you talk to a customer, you do not make these vague statements saying, yeah, I have this product which does this and that. You actually go and talk to them like, hey, this product of mine can save you two employees, or can save, let's say, 40 hours a month uh, in this department or in this sector of your team. So you usually go with that. You either talk about the saved hours, you talk about the saved money, you talk about increased revenue, but you usually give them an idea. You simply talk numbers, or sometimes you even say percent, right? Hey, with this, with our, with if you tie up with our company, you leverage our services. We have seen that the revenue of your company has a potential to grow by 20%, right? So it's something like that. Talk those numbers, these accomplishments, and every time you talk about yourself, um, uh, rather than saying, right, in a business environment, as an example here, this product saves you 10K dollars every day if you leverage this particular software. Whenever you talk about your own accomplishments, try to find those numbers. And how to find those numbers, we'll come to that in subsequent slides. The point is that I led and delivered a 10 million project in the last quarter. The other potential statement that I would normally use is, I led and delivered a big project in the last in these recent months. The point is, the moment you put in, identify those metrics and put in those numbers, it makes more sense. And before I continue to the next slide, I this is really important. I don't make these statements from a perspective of being in my current role. I have kind of, because of my startups, I have been in the roles of a director. I have been in I have played the role of a project manager. I have played the role of an engineering manager. I have played the role of a people manager. You, as in a startup, I have kind of played lots of roles. I mean, yes, when it came to my corporate career, I have stayed highly technical, but it kind of none of these statements that none of these tips that I make are specific to a particular sector. They're both for a person who is an engineering leader, uh, as well as for someone who is a individual contributor in some place. They're not specific to a particular job role. Point number three, be a leader who inspires. This is one of the most important things. You would have seen in startups how people are really overloaded. They work overnight. I mean, they are just employees, but they're still working overnight. And you will hardly find them complaining about their workload. And you will still find them and calling out in a, what to say, confidently that, yeah, I'm working for this startup. In the meantime, if you move to the corporate or government sector, you will see that people hate work overload. They prefer the work life balance. How is it that in a startup, uh, people overwork and rarely complain? That's because of the leaders. They usually have those inspiring leaders there, and they actually have that culture that, yeah, I mean, everything is really brilliant. Everyone is interesting. They go on talking about one thing or the other, one person or the other, one technology or the other, and it's always about that culture. The leader who is actually leading them brings in that stability, brings in that happiness. So Going on, customer experience is really one of the important things. You need to focus on the customer experience. When you are the product, you have to identify your customer. Your employer might be your customer, and if your employer is your customer, then there is a consumer probably. If it is a B2B delivery, then your customer's customer, as in your boss's customer or your employer's customer, is the consumer of your services. Always remember to focus on your customer satisfaction. The moment you do this, it moves away from that stress of why my manager is not supporting me, and why versus what is it that I can do better for my manager. So but then, yeah, do please remember that the manager also should be has this. There is a point. This is also for the manager as well as an employee. For the manager, it is a point three as well. The manager should be the leader who inspires. For an employee, work towards that customer experience. In startups, you focus on the customer. You do not focus on the product. You do not focus that, yeah, I have these features, I have these skills. My company does this. You rather go, hey, what is your pain point that I can solve? So that customer satisfaction, enhancing that customer sentiment is what becomes necessary. And every time in startups you go on, you start finding necessary features for yourself, for your company. And it is this, when it comes to these features, you always go and seek feedback from your current customers, from your prospect customers, translating that to yourself. Your features are your skills. And how do you go talk about finding those necessary more skills that you need to add to your skill set, to add to your resume? You talk to your current customer. You talk to prospect customers. The prospect customer in this case would be applying for a job, getting into an interview, and finding what is it that you're missing in that interview. You don't need a job, just face the interview and look into that possibility of finding those things that you should have done better or things that you should know. You'll always stay relevant to the market this way without getting stuck into the current jobs tech stack or current jobs processes, business processes that you will have. In the startups, one of the most important things is we step back and we don't focus on that one feature that we are developing. Everybody does everything. That's because everyone steps back and sees the big picture. Where does this feature exactly belong? The thing that I'm developing, the thing that I'm doing, where does this fit in the whole business system, in this whole ecosystem? So you step back uh, and see that whole big picture. Where do you belong in the business? What is the task that you have in hand, and the moment you deliver it, you what exactly do you go about delivering to the business? What kind of a money is your business making, is your employer making? From that perspective, you do that, you will find the metrics. Every time you will find the metrics at every level. You are an engineer, you will find the metrics of the number of bugs fixed, right? You will start with that. But the moment you step back, you will rather see the money saved on that product by fixing those bugs. You step back, the revenue generated by that product. You step back, the impact on the business, on your company that this product has. So it all starts with that fixing that bug or developing that minor feature. So see that big picture, step back, think beyond that to-do list that you are given in your particular job. When it comes to startups, you tend to create this environment of not being a problem. You tend to become a solution first. You see a problem, the first thing that you go about is trying to solve that problem. And I remember this one of the statements that I had in my office a long time back during my days was there was this wallpaper saying, "Are you here with a solution or are you part of the problem?" And yeah, be a solution and not part of the problem. Find you see a problem, rather than complaining about it, go take an initiative, try to solve it. And when it comes to these companies, when it comes to a corporate, you will find the resources if you look for them to solve those problems, to help you solve those problems in the form of volunteers, in the form of funding. In some way you will find those opportunities. And coming to the startups, there's a reason why everyone is able to do everything in startups, and it is because of the mentor-mentee relationship. Everybody is a mentor, everybody is a mentee. Everyone keeps on learning from other person. The founder learns from the co-founder, co-founder learns from the team, and back and forth, everything works. New engineer joins, new project manager joins, they say something, the words of wisdom, and everyone learns from that. And these mentorships continue to both inspire as well as bring in that trust among everyone and helps everyone grow. And this is the reason why in startups people actually grow faster, because uh, they are they actually get these during the coffee breaks. They still discuss, hey, what did you do in this, what did we do in this. And even if you are a project manager, you have very high chances you will still do something technical, and the vice versa. So always be a mentor and always be a mentee. Be open to receiving knowledge and be open to giving out knowledge. And one of the things that really I personally foresee, this is kind of this relates to the high level perspective. Um, Keep on collecting the data. You keep on meeting other people. You keep on talking about things. You see what other teams in your corporate are doing, what other departments are doing, what other people are doing. You keep on talking to them, and eventually there will come a day uh, when you will connect all these data points. And the moment you do that, right, you connect these data points, this team is doing this, this team is doing this, this team is doing this, and you connect, you will find that point which connects all these things. You may be able to actually come up with a way bigger idea. And that's how it actually happens. The moment you keep things in the silos, uh, they don't really pan out well enough. The moment you start connecting different data points, the moment you start connecting things together, the knowledge that you actually have um, is impressive. And you are at the center point of solving bigger problems that everyone else does not see. So keep that curiosity open, keep on talking, stay a mentor, stay a mentee, keep on asking for those details, talk to other people, collect that knowledge, and collect those data points. The day you connect it, you'll find those new ideas coming in every sphere of life. And the last one, and one of my most favorite ones, in a way, and get rid of the imposter syndrome. Um, and there is this imposter syndrome every now and then hits at times that am I really doing my job well enough? This person who is in the same project knows better than I do. Mm, the point is that when startups, you know that you don't know everything. When you start go about finding participating in a startup, irrespective of the role, you know that you don't know everything, and that you know that you don't need to know everything, and you will know anything that when the need arises. You know that you will actually learn it with the help of internet, with the help of mentors, with the help of anything. You will get to know uh, those things. So it's really important to understand that and build that confidence that I will be able to know these things whenever I want. So there's always more things to learn. There are more things to learn as always. At this point of time, it is for me corporate politics that I'm still navigating, understanding corporate strategies, and yeah, there is so much more to learn in every phase of life and everything. So yeah, uh, you have that knowledge, you share that knowledge, and we'll keep on learning together. Looking back, uh, these are the points that I have been calling out. And with that, I thank you for bearing with me in this boring session. Yep, moving on and open for any questions that you may have.
It was very insightful and inspiration. So we will move to the question and answer session. So everyone, please, if you have any question, please drop on the chat box. And I would like to ask one question from my end as an entrepreneur. So I'm based in Sri Lanka. So far, me and my co-founder, we haven't moved out of the country, but would love to know about from your perspective, like us as like a small country, what is your thought? Like, we staying in our own country, or will it be better, or will we get more exposure if we move out from the country and just try to solve problems which we face there? Like, as an entrepreneur, we anyway see problems as solution and then come up with solutions. So what I want to know is like whether we stay in the comfort zone and comfortable culture and solve all the problems that we get there, or else we just go out and try to solve problems there. What would be the best for a person who will like to grow with entrepreneurship?
Um, it's always see the entrepreneurship mindset introduces this idea that you find the problems wherever you are, and sometimes stepping out does help you. And the point is that, do you see a problem already? If you see the problem already, go then probably you can go about trying to solve it. If you are not able to see a problem, then yes, definitely stepping out can help. I mean, there's a lot of education on the internet available, and I have always been proponent of trying to get into that whole knowledge from that perspective. Hey, everything is accessible on the internet. Just go and study about it. But the point is that, in my experience, when I came to Cisco and the opportunities that I have had to solve, the problems that I have had to solve, I had never honestly even envisioned them during my startup days. I mean, I had solved really complex problems, and I mean, especially in the region that I was in. But then the problems that I had to solve in Cisco were way big. I mean, they were beyond my imagination. Now, hence the point, right? Wherever you go with the entrepreneurial mindset, you will tend to understand it, find a problem, you will tend to solve it. If you don't see a problem in your region right now, if you are not able to relate to something that you see, yeah, there is this problem that's being faced by my people, that's being faced by my family, that something that I can solve. Yes, stepping out might be in such scenarios helpful because of that exposure that it brings to see problems, that see solutions that you didn't even know were a problem in the first place. There will be solutions that you will see outside that you wouldn't even think were a problem at all. And that's what happens when you interact with other people. You will find people, and in my case, there have been many interviews that I have faced, and the folks getting astonished by the solutions that I have developed back home in my startups. I remember one of the solutions being uh, information management synchronization happening with the cloud without the internet. This is a problem that you will not even see anywhere else. This is not a problem that I have had to ever solve in Cisco, because right, there's lots of money, there's internet everywhere, there's connectivity everywhere. You have LoRaWAN to fix the problem of connecting everything. So I mean, it's kind of that. I mean, the moment you step out, you find different solutions or you find different things. And for that matter, that may at times even help you realize, oh, this is something that I can even go back and bring into my community and solve that problem. It's not always just bringing in that same thing. So yeah, if you don't have a problem in hand, uh, stepping out might help.
Thank you. And we do have one request from you. Can you please show the last two slides, because he couldn't see it properly. I think
Okay.
the last two
Yeah,
slides.
was one. It is just looking back on those same things, all the 10 points together.
Okay, and we do have another question. How to reignite startup after facing dead zero sales from existing product? Please give your perspective. Perspective considering this a student startup with minimum funds.
How to reignite a startup after facing dead zero sales of from existing products. This can always happen. And this is one part of that financial strategy that you always have to look into and consider. One of the things at this point of time that always kind of will help will be to go and revisit your financial strategy. One of the things that I recently actually discussed with one of my old co-founders, is that the moment you actually start, create the milestones. And that's really important. You create your milestones in every quarter. So you start with your quarterly milestones. In these 3 months, I want to achieve these milestones. And when it comes to these milestones, you talk about the milestones. I want this much revenue. I want this many customers. I want this much profit. You define a milestone, a realistic one that you believe that is possible. It's not a dream that you have to write there. It has to be realistic. It may be really a small number, but it has to be realistic. And that's it. Based on this milestone, what will be the subsequent numbers for the second milestone, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter? You did that. Then you also put in the half yearly milestones in general, and then you also put in the annual milestones that you need. The moment you feel that you have faced an issue with one of the milestones, the first milestone, you have started missing that. You need to work hard to make sure that that milestone gets addressed. And if it doesn't, what are the changes that you need to make in order to achieve the next milestone, next quarter, so that you do not miss the second milestone? Because if you keep on missing these milestones consistently, probably within a year, you have very high chances of falling off. Now, coming to the question itself, how to reignite the whole thing? It depends. Usually, so first of all, it depends how has been the what has been the impact of the debt zero sales so far. For example, if you have already sought out funds and you have failed, then yes, you need to really revisit the financial strategy to start with. You need to find the customers. That's always the case. You find the customers who can vouch for you, who you can sell. I am never a proponent of selling for free, but selling at a discounted price when the need arises. Uh, so you reach out to those customers. You find initially at that point of time, you find those customers who you can actually sell it to at a discounted price, and you sell it and see if you are exactly even solving their pain point, or like once I was just staying in that dream land of, yeah, I have this brilliant product, and it can do this and that. So go back to the customer, find the customer, and find your initial customers. The moment you have initial customers, uh, you have an opportunity to also seek out funding. You can reach out to angel investors. You can reach out to these. I There's this right. What do you call them? I forgot. So there are these firms who actually incubators. You can reach out to incubators, um, and who can actually help you start again. So that's zero sales. Revisit your customer experience point. Are you really saving the customer pain points, solving a customer pain point, or are you simply just going about building a product? So it has to be customer centric. And then the moment you have identified that, you found those initial few customers, probably reach out for some funding in that sense to help you further grow. After you have found your first customers, it's always going to be the case on customer side.
Okay, and we do have another question. What metrics should we focus on the first year?
Uh, uh, it's first year of what I am unable to understand. Is it a question around uh, entrepreneurship, or is it a question about career?
I think it's about entrepreneurship, like as building a startup. If I'm wrong, Adil, yeah, it's
Perfect.
entrepreneurship.
So when it comes to the metrics, especially in the first year, it's always subject to your startup, what exactly the domain that you are in. But from a high level perspective, at least that I would say is, when it comes to the initial year, the metrics again have to be the number of customers, right, the number of customers that you want to attain. And then even in the customer, usually you have these segments, right? What kind of customers? If you have that kind of a product where there are multiple plans, um, so then that separation, that segregation comes into the picture as well. So you look into that perspective, that customers would be definitely one. Revenue from those customers would be the second one, and third one will be the profit, or what do you say, the bare minimum that you will be able to save from those customers. It's not always the case that in your startup you will be able to start making profits from day one. But the point is that if you do not monitor it, uh, it can kind of become a challenge if you do not monitor these things. So again, as I mentioned, number of customers, revenue, and monitoring those expenses or finding that profit that you will be able to save from each customer. Trying to find that, these will be the bare minimum metrics that you should be tracking. Of course, alongside the other things dependent upon your startup.
Okay, and Dr. Prakash, do you have any questions? I see.
Actually, it's really, Jose, it was very nice presentations. You presented very well. Somehow, my question is basically, I had a little experience of a startup, but unfortunately failed because we started during the COVID. My question, because we were a couple of friends were doing something on artificial intelligence using machine learning, but what I saw, even I visited the banks and tried to, but being a technical person, I failed. I mean, I didn't. My question is that do some, do entrepreneurs need himself or herself be a good as a marketing gurus, like you mentioned in your presentation that some problem are the general and some are the specific and general problems. You mentioned some of the financial and the last one was the marketing and sales. So my question is, at the initial stage probably we were not in a position to hire. Later on we did, but initially I did myself try to be put in that place and to do a marketing, but I failed. So my question is, do you really think that someone should be good in the marketing, or maybe some god given gifted for individual, some are very good and some are like me, because and we failed and then we quit. Then I started again my job, and I'm not doing my job. So this is my practical experience question.
Yeah, something that I personally directly relate to. Uh, so when it comes to startups, I'm going back to one of my tips, right? You don't know everything. You cannot know everything at any given point of time, right?
Yep.
But that confidence that I'll be able to learn whenever the need arises, and that's what you did, and that's what entrepreneurs do. The point is, in this case, what matters is that when it comes to starting the startup, my personal preference at this point of time is looking for the co-founders who complement my skill set. That's my first preference right now. If I have to go about starting something, my first preference is usually looking for the co-founders who will complement my skill set. I am really good at technology, right? I would really prefer someone who is really good at sales. So this is a bare minimum that if I have to get started with the next idea, this is a bare minimum that I will look for. Now that's one part. Second part is that if I'm not able to find that necessary co-founder, right, then it has to come to me learning that skill set. And there are just two ways, right, to learn. One is learning from the other people, right? Probably reading books, getting enrolled into courses, getting enrolled into hands-on courses is definitely the way to go. Or let's jump into it and we will see. We'll probably learn to swim. The only problem with the later one is that you tend to risk your startup. You jump, you will learn, that's for sure. But then the point is, does your business have that financial appetite to handle that learning time that you will need, right? You have to pay in some way. You either pay in money or you pay in time.
Yeah.
So the point is, will your startup survive if you yourself, without education, and start jumping into the river and now expect to learn there how to swim? Can your startup handle it for that? Does your startup have the working capital? Does your startup actually have that cash flow at that point of time for you to actually give you the time to learn those things? This decision has to be made based on that. But again, going back, if I have to start fresh right now at this point of time, my first preference will be to find a co-founder who complements my skill set. My second preference will be to get into a hands-on training somewhere in some course to learn this, so that, yeah, I mean, unless depending, if I really have substantial working capital, I will save that up and I will plan with using the finances. that yeah, I can probably use these 3 months to do it myself and learn on the grow. And then for these next 3 months, I'll do this. But the point is, if you see again, it will always boil down to a plan. You need, when you create your business model, it's really important to put in all those, right? You need to have that financial strategy, you need to have that business strategy really implemented, and you really create these milestones. You put in those numbers there and you try to chase them. If you consistently are failing to chase your numbers, the necessary numbers that you have, um, that is the time to rethink. You have to hire someone, you have to find another co-founder, you should be ready to give away your stake, but you need to find that right skill set, either within yourself or within your team.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks.
And we do have another question. What you suggest for new CS graduate, I think computer science graduate, should they look for a job or masters or start new startup?
Interesting question. So, yeah, I would personally say don't go with the trend. I have never been a proponent of a trend. Uh, I mean, there is a way you can follow a trend and still grow. That has always been the case. But then the point is that do what feels right in your heart, something that you can do really good. You know that you can do it better. Entrepreneurship is not an easy journey to take. Um, Irrespective of how much money you have and how much time you have, there will be terrible ups and downs that you will see. And irrespective of, even for that matter, how good a team you have, you will, those ups and downs are terribly bad. And even you may have $1 billion in your account, but yeah, you will still see those, hey, one decision led to this much loss in revenue. So the point is, but then same thing can happen if you go back to a corporate career, right? It doesn't matter. There are ups and downs everywhere. What I would personally say is, as a new CS graduate, look for what feels right in your heart. Do you think you are an entrepreneur? Then definitely go for it. Uh, and you will have time to fix problems because you are a new CS graduate. That means you are really young. The next thing is whether you would start with or you should start a career. It honestly, in my case, it actually boils down to what your heart says. If I would have to choose, personally, I have a very strong feeling that if I go back, I'm a new CS graduate, I have 98% chances of starting with entrepreneurship. But then, yeah, again, right, as I mentioned, right, it has to be personal. It has to be that personal motivation. And I'm still driven by that entrepreneurship mindset.
Yeah, do we
Just to get
have
this last moment, that does not make it the right decision, by the way. So you really need to evaluate it for yourself.
do we have more questions?
I don't think we don't have more questions.
Yeah, with that, it was an insightful journey we have embarked upon today with our speaker, Huzaib Shafi, from the heights and lows of entrepreneurship to corporate career. So, Huzaib, you have like generously shared your experiences, insights, and wisdom, leaving us with like valuable insight for us, like the people who are going to be into the industry, who will be starting their entrepreneurship journey and whatnot. So with that, as we draw this session to a close, let's just reflect on some key takeaways that's a mention which are important to us. We have learned about importance of resilience in the face of adversity and significant of transferable skills between entrepreneurship and corporate life. We can like which we can align with ourselves, and also the boundless of opportunities that arise from the environment that we live, as you mentioned, what we like with what you mentioned, that we can build our resume as a pitch deck where we can apply it to everywhere, as I believe. So not only for entrepreneurship, even for corporate, if we have a better pitch deck on ourselves, I think that would be a better pitch when we are like focusing on career as well. So yeah, on behalf of IEEE Region 10 and all the participants, I would like to extend our grateful attitude to Huzaib Shafi for his enlightenment disclosure, for graciously sharing his experiences with us today. So your insight will lead lots of people here to their journeys and let them like take a key turnovers from here on their journeys if they have already started. And yeah, with that, I would like to thank all who join us as well, and handing over to you, Aditya.
Yeah, thank you for your wonderful talk, sir. Now, I welcome Dr. Bernard Lin, Chair 2024 IEEE Region 10 Ad hoc on Industry Engagement and Roundtable for giving the closing remarks.
Okay, thank you very much, Aditya. Yeah, good day, everyone. The last statement that Huzaib did mention about, if he was to turn back the clock, what would be his path would be. Personally, from myself, started as in the corporate world, eventually engage into technopreneur or entrepreneur. I would probably follow the same path as well. But of course, as what he mentioned, it all based on your own, at heart, what you like to do. Anyway, firstly, I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me for delivering the closing remarks. When this was initially mentioned to me to do that, actually it's close at heart to me. I've been in as a technopreneur or entrepreneur since 2015, but before that I was in the corporate world. And it's always been in heart as well to be involved in it, and I really enjoyed it. I actually did not regret going, from corporate to entrepreneurship. And I even went back to corporate world, and eventually I long and actually returned back as a entrepreneur myself. So today's IEEE talk really exploring, corporate careers and entrepreneurship, and understanding how to leverage, right, the corporate experience to fuel entrepreneur ambitions. And I hope all of you learn from it. We will learn the skills and insight gained in the corporate world, and all of these can be invaluable assets as in entrepreneur journey, and providing a strong foundation for innovation, strategic thinking, and of course, like what our moderator mentioned, resilience. That's one of the key characteristics as an entrepreneur. Today's R10 talk really relate to entrepreneurship, of course, it's also timely. If all of you, especially young entrepreneur or young professional out there, by fostering innovation and entrepreneurship, the people in the entrepreneur drives the creation of cutting edge technologies, and that's some of what has happened as well, if you can see from our speaker for today. And at the end of the day, it also contributes to the field of electrical and electronic engineering, like IEEE, even in science. And this advancement in technology not only explore the body of research, but also simulates economic growth as well, not only for yourself as well as for your country. So I hope that all of you really benefit from today's session. For me personally, it is also enriching. I've been around since 2015 myself, and I know that I've always been looking for, since when I started as an entrepreneur, I've always looked for guidance and mentorship. As the speaker mentioned, this is some of the key points that we always continue to want to learn. What better ideas, that they can come out. And today's speaker basically outlined carefully, the points how to be successful technopreneur himself. So we have Dr. Huzaib Shafi today sharing his journey, and I really appreciate that as well. Personally, thank him for sharing his experience. His entrepreneurship is not an easy journey, as our speaker has mentioned. We always learn from our own experience, but we benefit a lot from learning from others, like our speaker who said today. I also encourage all of you to, continue, attending and learning from the session like R10 Talks today. And actually, one thing for sure, actually very seldom entrepreneur talks about failure. And today, basically, and I believe that it is a good thing that we learn as well, because otherwise we will go through the whole cycle and making mistakes. We entrepreneurship also learn from our failure. I personally have gone through a couple of failures as well, and so Dr. Prakash also mentioned, as an entrepreneur, we don't stop at just failure. We learn from it and we move on. I always believe one concept about picking up and continue. Don't fall down, pick up and continue. And the word resilience is very important, right? So we have also seen from our speaker, as he was ran from the corporate world and venture his own business. So one could see how an entrepreneur display creativity, agility, and persistence. So before I end my closing remark for today, I would like to thank the organizers and also congratulate them for today's session as well, and also inviting me for today. I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to all the speakers, the organizers, moderators, and of course, not forgetting all the participants that are online today. And I hope that today's session is really enriching. Thank you very much. Pass it back to moderator. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your closing remarks. And now I actually invite all the panelists to turn on your cameras so that we can have a quick group photo. Just please for a second, take the group photo. 3, 2, and 1. Yeah. Thank you all for attending this talk, and we have our next R10 talk is on June 8th. The announcement will be released soon, and it's already there in the R10 site as well. And for hosting this talk today, I thank all the committees from R10, the Professional Activities Committee, Student Activities Committee, Young Professionals, Industry Relations Committee, and all the panelists who attended here. And along with the speaker, Huzaib Shafi, and we heard very good experiences from your things, and enlightenment journey of yours from corporate as well as in this entrepreneurs. Thank you all, and thank you for attending, especially the attendees. Thank you all for participating in this R10, and we'll look forward to meet you all in the next talk at June 8th.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr.
Thank
Manoj.
you.
Everybody, thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Someone stop recording.
Yes.
Someone should stop.